objective.
Hi guys, Blakey here. Today we're going to be having a look at the new range of Edencom ships. In this episode we're going to start looking at the frigate, which has been named Skybreaker. So we'll start. Every level you're going to get 6% bonus to all shield resist, so it's relatively tanky, and a 5% bonus to the small upwell weapon damage. So to show you what that is, the most unique thing about this ship, they're using new weapons called Voltron projectors, or projectors. Apparently I'm never going to be able to say that. What's different about this is it's actually an energy weapon, but it arcs. So when it hits a target, assuming the targets are close enough, it can arc to up to 5 targets. Drawbacks to this are they're quite cap intensive, and they don't seem to do a massive amount of DPS. Now, on paper, if they hit all 5, yes, the numbers look really good, but the reality of it is enemies don't seem to stay that close together. Now, you look at it on your HUD and you think, yes, they do, you know, they're all at 5, but that's just, they're all 5 from you, it doesn't necessarily mean they're on top of each other, and we'll go into that a bit more as we play. So, this is a fit I've put together. I don't know how good it is, truth be told, but I'll go through it. So, for the rigs, what we put together was Small Core Defense Field Pager 2. I should have got 2 of them. What I've actually done is got a T1 and a T2 variant, but you know, we'll still see, and a field extender. It's running a passive tank. It's very similar to my Gila fit, so we've got 2 T2 shield extenders and 2 multi-spectrum, they're called now, but it used to be the old invuln fields. All 3 bottom slots are all being used for just damage amplification, basically. So what we'll do is we'll take a little look and see how it goes. The plan for the whole video is I'll run maybe a combat site, submissions. But all that being said, let's take it out and see how it does. Right, okay, so for our first test, we're going to take it out to do a level 2 mission. Now, level 2 missions are normally where the frigates start to struggle, but given the AoE effect of this weapon, I'm hoping it's going to do a lot better in level 2s than a conventional frigate would. Look how good those animations look. That's one thing I will say about the new ships, they are very, very well animated. Loads of little different details going on. So once we land on grid, we'll start targeting things up, activate our invuln fields, and then we'll just have a quick check so we can see what sort of resists they've got. You don't get a lot of choice with these weapons. They only do EM and kinetic, but they do them in different amounts. So one's better at, 2 are better at kinetic, 2 are better at EM, and then the only thing changed is one's short range and one is long range. So we'll start locking things up now and we'll start getting a feel for what the AoE effect's actually like. Now you can see, looking, the tank's holding perfectly. There's no issues with the tank whatsoever. And again, this is level 2 mission, so I know they're not difficult, but a lot of frigates struggle in this. Now that's what we're looking for. Whether it's good, whether it's cost effective, anything like that, you know, you can decide for yourself. You've all got to agree, it looks amazing. Now, if you can get that effect on 4 or 5, that's when it starts like really looking impressive. I'd be interested to know how it's going to affect performance on such slower PCs. You can see now, looking at it, these frigates aren't putting up any real resistance whatsoever. They're never going to get through our tank. but you can see looking at it, the DPS isn't great. Now, if you're doing that level DPS to 5, as I said, on paper it's going to look really, really good, but I don't know if it's going to start becoming a problem when you've got to take on bigger targets. So we'll just jump to the last part of the site now. Once again, there's no resistance, there's no threat for us. We're just here sightseeing. Now you've noticed there as well, not only has it hit the 2 enemies, but it's also hitting random structures and things that are about. In these sorts of fights it's fine. Depending on where you are, this could start becoming an issue, so it's something to certainly be aware of. Another place I can see it being a problem is on missions where they come in waves. You know, like if you kill this cruiser, you spawn the next wave. If they do happen to be tightly packed, you've got no way of directing that damage. So in some ways this, well, again, I suppose it's just something you have to learn to manage. But that's the end of that site. No worries at all, nice and easy. Okay, so that was relatively easy, so we're now going to try a combat site. We're going to do the Serpentis Hidden Hideaway. It's, you know, it's a low-level combat site, but it's one of the harder low-level ones, if that makes sense. Given how well the Skybreaker ran the level 2 mission, this shouldn't be too much of a problem. So same sort of thing again, we're just going to try and get as many of them sort of in a group as we can, hopefully take them on. That's more like what we want to be seeing. It's hitting 4 or 5 at the same time now. Right, I've got to be honest, I love that, I love how it looks. If the slowing down part's sort of annoying people, just let me know in the comments so I can start speeding it up again, but I kind of like showing off the graphics, so that's where we are. Now, we're applying damage to a lot more ships this time, but there is a lot more smaller ships all on us at the same time. And you can see already we're starting to take a bit of a beating. Now, my skills aren't great in this ship, and this fit is far from perfect, so yeah, it's not necessarily a reflection on the ship at this point. When we finish this, I'll just go through the skills now while we talk about what we're going to do next. See, once again, we're getting the occasional bit of splash damage on other ships, but although they're all close to us, they're not close enough to each other. Now, something with this ship, the minute you pass your shields, that's it, you've got nothing left. And obviously you can see what the end result is any second now. Yeah. Now, like I said before, I don't actually think that's the ship's fault. I think it's more down to the fit and me being a bit blasé about the whole thing after running the level 2s, but I will try that again at some point. What we'll do now, we'll head back to the station, we'll refit, and we'll take a look at what we're going to do next. Okay guys, we've rebuilt the Skybreaker, and this time I think I've got a slightly better fit for it. So, in the lows, I've taken out one of the damage amplifiers and replaced it with a shield power relay 2. Mids are all the same, and we've just tidied up these rigs, so we're now T2 for everything. The idea is it's just going to give us a little bit more passive regen to what's already obviously a passive tank. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go and try and see if this can actually manage a level 3 mission. Now, if a frigate can manage a level 3 mission, then maybe I'm starting to see, you know, why these things might actually be relevant. But we shall have a look anyway. Okay, so this time we're going to try and run a level 3 mission. It's called Silence the Informant. Now, it's not the hardest one by any stretch, but if a frigate completes a level 3 mission, then, you know, it's getting interesting. Quick spoiler, it can. I'll start talking about some of the drawbacks. The biggest problem you're going to have is how long it takes. The ship itself is very, very tanky. It doesn't seem to get challenged too much in that way. But the more I use them, the more I'm coming to realise ships just don't seem to stay that close to each other. When you get that nice little moment where they're all in a ball, you can really see the damage start applying, and it's great. But a lot of the time that just isn't the case. So once you start hitting cruisers and above, it can take an awful long time to take them down. Another big problem I've found is the missions where it tells you need to wipe out a structure or something as well. Again, insanely long time to deal with them. There are quite... well, my skills aren't great in this ship, as I've already said. I've got level 4 for the frigate, which is nice, but there's quite a lot more I can do with the weapons. So if you look here, it's one of those ideal moments I'm talking about. Like, you start hitting multiple ships at once. That's nice, you're going to take them down quite quickly. But those moments are few and far between. So, other than the frigate skill, I'm up to level 4 on the actual weapon itself, the small Voltron projector. Now, you do have some other skills. You've got the Voltron arc extension. I'm on to level 3 of that. That's basically boosts the gun by 5% range per level, so that's not particularly relevant to us. You've got Voltron projector operations. Now, this is only level 3. Every level of that gives you another 2%. You can also then move on to Voltron power amplification. That gives you another 3% per level. So you do have the option of ramping the damage up, a reasonable amount. And this is only a T1 gun, so maybe at some point I need to test it with the skills a little bit higher and the weapons better. The only other relevant skill is the Voltron arc guidance. Basically, this weapon functions very similar to missiles, so the smaller, faster moving targets don't take as much damage, basically. So that helps with that. Maybe again things like target painters and things could be handy, but I don't really see where you fit them with only the 4 mids. So really, all that happens now. We complete the mission. I'll get to that in a sec. But we go through the mission. We're never really challenged. It's just a time thing. Now, as I've said, maybe once we improve the damage output, maybe it becomes more viable. It's impressive in itself that it can run the missions. But again, so much of this is going to be down to the cost of the ships, isn't it? So we'll have to see. Another thing to potentially watch out for with these, there's a strange mechanic going on at the moment, and this might well be ironed out, but depending on how your safeties are set, or whether or not friendly fire is eligible within your core, will affect what the weapon bounces to. Sometimes, with our testing, even if you're going to hit an enemy, but there's a friendly close by, if your safety settings are on green, it just won't allow you to fire. I'm not entirely sure what CCP planning on doing with that, but it's just something else to keep in mind. I guess to summarise the pros of it, it's a very tanky ship, and potentially with the damage improvements and things, it could become more effective. I'm very worried about the way the weapons arc. I think that's going to catch people out, but again, it's only on the test server at the moment, so potentially it gets ironed out. It would have comfortably finished this mission. Truth be told, I got bored at the very last bit. I ran enough to make sure that, it could easily do it, then it was killing turrets and things, and it was just taking too long. It would have done it, however, so, if you can find ways to speed it up a bit, maybe it becomes an effective mission running ship. It would be a great sort of drone killer. Small ships, again, it starts struggling on the bigger stuff, but people will play around with it, I'm sure they'll figure something out. But that's it really, guys, so I hope you enjoyed watching that. After we completed all this, two of my court mates, Disowned Hero and Xbox Gamer, we all met up and tried some PvP, a little bit of fleet stuff and that. They've both recorded videos on that, so they're well worth checking out. See how it functions in a fleet. But other than that, guys, thanks very much for watching. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I will see you again, probably next time in the cruiser.